right now. Right before the season, everybody's pissing and moaning. We had a different coach come up and give a motivational speech in the afternoon each day. He was our running backs coach at the time by the name of Derek Foster. Coach Foster came up there, toughness and pushing through. He got real razzed up as his speech progressed. We had a video coordinator named Rocky. He finishes his speech and he goes, "Hit it, Rock!" And Set It Off by Boosie Badass played. As a young white man, it was my first time hearing that song, Set It Off. Yeah, we finna set it off. You heard me? I'm finna put you in the trash bag. Tired of all these knowing me right now, for real. You wanna talk shit? You wanna run your mouth? You want some gangster strut your mother in the house? We'll set this job. Yeah. And that was my first time hearing Set It Off. At Samford University, it was the third or fourth week of camp. We were about where teams are right now. Right before the season, everybody's pissing and moaning. We had a different coach come up and give a motivational speech in the afternoon each day. He was our running backs coach at the time by the name of Derek Foster. Coach Foster came up there, toughness and pushing through. He got real razzed up as his speech progressed. We had a video coordinator named Rocky.
And welcome back. Welcome back. Let me see if I can get this. There we go. To the show. This football show today. Today's football show. We got a lot going on, man. Got the biggest game of the weekend about 20 minutes from where I sit. And we'll cover that. We'll cover what's going on with Ole Miss and their coaches. The coaching carousel in the NFL has begun. A lot of teams have already fired their coach at the conclusion of their seasons in which they missed the playoffs. What up to Mason Barrera? We'll be hollering at the chat a bit today. Shout out to James on Inner Brickler. So, it's the night before the Fiesta Bowl. We'll have NFL Wildcard Weekend starting on Saturday. Ole Miss versus Miami on Thursday night, about 20 minutes from where I sit. I'll be there. Indiana versus Oregon in the Peach Bowl on Friday night. And you got two of the quarterbacks in the upcoming draft class. Two of the top quarterbacks really in the 2026 draft class. Fernando Mendoza and Dante Moore squaring off against each other. Is this the worst QB draft class of all time? We're literally talking about Ty Simpson out of Alabama being a top 3 quarterback in this year's NFL draft. We'll talk about Ty Simpson, things we've seen in his game, whether or not we think he's going to be successful in the NFL. And a lot of coaches moving around. John Harbaugh just got fired from the Baltimore Ravens yesterday, and we ranted about it. We ranted about it on here because, like every other football take that we have, we do our absolute best to make it about the Cincinnati Bengals. But if you would have told me or anybody at the beginning of the season that 2 coaches in the AFC North were going to be fired and that Zach Taylor would go 6-11 and not be one of them, I wonder what kind of substance you'd be on. But that is the reality. And there's some insider sources coming out about John Harbaugh and how the locker room felt about him. So we'll cover that. And it should be a fun show. We're gonna have a pre-Fiesta Bowl show tomorrow, and then obviously a pre-Peach Bowl show on Friday. But I just wanted to address something I saw on Twitter today. This is from Kurt Bankert, who I guess played backup quarterback behind Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. He's become sort of a football influencer, if you will. Got a big Twitter following. Makes a lot of. I've seen his YouTube. He does a lot of great work around. How do you say it? He plays Madden, and then he breaks down what he's calling. He's identifying coverages. I think the guy even has a book about how to be good at Madden or something. Maybe it's just general football schematics broken down. He's a guy I'm familiar with. And today, yesterday it looks like, the tweet's going very viral. I saw it this morning. He screenshotted Joe Burrow's recent Instagram post. Joe posted a little carousel yesterday with the caption, 2025 was ... adversity. And it was a slideshow of whatever. But what Kurt Bankert pointed out was the song on the post. It was Good Life by Kanye. Welcome to the good life. It feel like L.A. It feel like Atlanta. It feel like L.A. It feel like Miami. It feel like N.Y. Summertime shy. Now throw your hands up in the sky. And so Kurt Bankert pointed out that you can pick. This is apparently not obvious to boomers, right? But people who post on Instagram know that when you go to post and you pick the song, you can pick the section of the song. We literally, I get that Kurt Bankert, this guy, he makes his money off of making content around football. I mean, hell, if I had half the mind to spin a take like that, that's so ridiculous that it got me a bunch of engagement, I mean, hell, I'd probably think about doing it. But, I think he's reaching. Basically, Kurt Bankert's take is that Joe purposely picked the section of the song Good Life by Kanye where it goes, it feel like Atlanta, it feel like L.A., it feel like Miami, it feel like N.Y. And he's implying that Joe is subliminally signaling that it feels like he's going to leave the Bengals, you would think, to one of those destinations. That's the spin that football influencer Kurt Bankert is throwing on Joe Burrow's most recent Instagram post. Recently, about an hour ago, actually, T. Higgins quote tweeted it and said, "No dice." I responded to the tweet with a gif of somebody reaching. I think it was an intricate ploy by Kurt Bankert to get engagement. Engagement farming, as the kids call it. Nothing more. Would I be tempted to engagement farm? Absolutely. Especially in this phase of time that we're in, where we're growing this show. we're trying to be aggressive, posting every day. It would be nice to grab some engagement like that willy-nilly just off a wacky take like Kurt Bankert made. I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't be tempted to do it if the good Lord struck an idea into me. But that's all this is. He's reaching. He's engagement farming. And I'm sure Joe Burrow will see that and get a good laugh. I can't imagine being in the shoes of somebody like Burrow, seeing a tweet like that from Kurt Bankert and thinking to yourself, it's not that deep, bro. It just ain't. Browns are requesting to interview Bengals offensive coordinator Dan Pitcher for the open head coaching position. Kevin Stefanski was fired on Merciless Monday after the NFL regular season concluded. A lot of people think that Kevin Stefanski is a prime candidate to be hired as a head coach elsewhere. He's two-time coach of the year. He got the Browns to the playoffs multiple times. Dare I say 4 in his career there. I think he spent 8 or 9 years there. I don't want to spew misinformation, but these are all ballpark figures off the top of my head. I'd be happy if the Bengals hired Kevin Stefanski. It won't happen. I'd be even more happy if the Bengals hired John Harbaugh. And apparently, the story with Harbaugh is he was not liked by his locker room as he came down the home stretch with Baltimore. But the more interesting spin on the John Harbaugh situation is that there's been 9 teams, according to inside sources, that have reached out to him to possibly talk about taking on the service of their head coach. And if I'm not mistaken, there have not been 9 firings in the NFL yet. I think most of the firings that were going to happen have happened on this Wednesday after the conclusion of the NFL regular season. So 9 teams have reached out to John Harbaugh for his services. And that's very likely, based on what I know, more organizations than have fired their head coach. So I saw a Bengals fan creating an AI image with John Harbaugh wearing Bengals gear. I mean, I think it's safe to say that Bengals fans would be completely ecstatic if Mike Brown took a turn for the worse in the eyes of Zach Taylor and went back on the letter he wrote a couple days ago saying we were going to run it back and said, actually, now that we know that Baltimore has fired John Harbaugh, Zach Taylor, we're going to fire you. I know I wrote a letter on Monday and it's Wednesday or Thursday, but, I'm going to walk it back here because we want John Harbaugh. That will never happen in 3 million lifetimes, by the way. It would be great. And I'm sure Zach Taylor's a fine guy. I'm sure that he's got a lot of knowledge around the game. How could he not? He's an NFL head coach. And I think he would be a really decent coach, maybe in college or something. But I think the way I feel about Zach Taylor is the way that every other Bengals fan feels about Zach Taylor. Hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back no more. What you say? You know what? I think that's how the majority of Bengals fans feel about Zach Taylor. And it's not personal. Pete Golding did a really good job of describing what a college football program is to a school's athletic program and university, and it's the front porch. You know, he was talking about how Ole Miss's run has been, a good front porch for what they got going on in Oxford, the community, the other athletic programs, the school. And I think the NFL is no different. I think that's why I love football so much, is that it is teams are representative of the places they occupy, culturally especially. And so to call a football program, because football is a predominant sport, football is the front porch of collegiate athletic programs, and I think football is the front porch for the cities they reside in as it pertains to the NFL as well. When the Bengals were on that Super Bowl run in 2021, 22, you were proud to say you're from Cincinnati. You were chomping at the bit to tell someone you're from Cincinnati. Oh, Joe Burrow. Yeah, dude. Yeah, that's where I'm from. It's no different. And we've talked about this many times on the show. I don't think that is a principle or a set of values that the Brown family, the ownership group of the Bengals, hold in their heart. I don't think they care about being good stewards of the city. I don't think they care that the Bengals are the front porch of Cincinnati. And I don't think enough people covering football talk about that. I think that's the best way to describe the state of the Bengals and the state of the ownership group. I keep saying I'm going to stop talking about the Bengals. Probably will, probably won't. Interesting little thing that I saw today, a little tidbit of information. Maybe we'll get back on a Bengals rant here in a little bit. This is from Tim Reynolds on X. You could buy approximately 75 Fiesta Bowl tickets for what one ticket in the last row of the upper deck of the CFP title game at Hard Rock is going for right now. No, that's not a joke. I spent $200 on a ticket to tomorrow night's Fiesta Bowl. I looked on a ticketing service where the cheapest seat for the national championship in Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens, Florida, the cheapest seat for the title game of college football is $2,900. I don't think I've ever seen. I really don't think I've ever seen a college football game tickets be that expensive ever. I got a lot of friends and family members who are Ole Miss fans, and the ones that didn't come out to Phoenix for the game to come see me, the ones that didn't come out to Phoenix, their reasoning was that if Ole Miss wins and they go to the national championship, well, they got to go to that. And I was just telling my buddy, I was like, you made a good decision coming out here, because even if I was the most diehard Ole Miss fan you could find anywhere, I'm not shelling out $2,900 to go to that national championship game. I told him, I said, you made a good decision, bub, because you basically get to see the same team the week before. And Phoenix ain't too bad to hang out in. There's a reason I live here. There is an 80% chance of rain tomorrow. They're going to have that door, or that ceiling, in State Farm Stadium closed off, because it's an 80% chance of rain tomorrow. It's colder here today at 58 here today. It's colder here today than it is in damn Georgia and Mississippi, I believe. So That's interesting. And let me see if we got what else we got. Here's a take that I saw on Twitter that I want to read to you guys. This is from Bengals Tank Commander. I'm just going to say it. Dragging Zach Taylor to a Super Bowl ruined Joe Burrow's career. And this is another take that we've made on the show before. The success, whenever the Bengals have success, whether it's bad for the franchise or not. I can't believe I would ever say that. But we said it many times, you know. We talked about it while the Bengals were still in a hunt for the playoffs about a month ago, 5-6 weeks ago, where the Bengals still had a chance to win out, and they had that brutal game against Buffalo that they should have won. I think it was that week. And I talked on the mic. The clip got about 30,000 views. I talked about it saying that if the Bengals were able to sneak into the playoffs, would it set them back? And now that the season's over and more casual Bengals enjoyers are chiming in, they're saying the same thing. But they're saying that this Super Bowl run that Cincinnati made in 2021-22 set the organization back 10 years. And I think that's a very solid take, man. I really do. Because half a decade later, I told you guys we'd come back to the Bengals. I keep telling y'all that they're not going to get another sliver of my oxygen. And then 15 minutes later, we're back on them. That's how far the Cincinnati Bengals are in my craw. There's two things in life for me that challenge my inner stoic more than anything. It's family, and it's the Cincinnati Bengals in no particular order. You know what? I just thought it was funny, man. Mike Brown's mentioning the Super Bowl run that happened 5 years ago in a letter that he published on Monday. So we got word a couple days ago that running backs coach Kevin Smith for Ole Miss won't return for the rest of the playoff run. And I saw on Paul Feinbaum today that he actually will be coaching the game tomorrow night. He will be coaching through the rest of the playoff, him and Charlie Weiss Jr., the two position coaches that are confirmed to be done at Ole Miss are their tight ends coach and their wide receivers coach, and I believe 4 assistants or something like that. But, you know, I think every single thing that happens in this storyline with Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin, the playoff, LSU, the more time that passes, the worse Lane Kiffin looks. I mean, he looks terrible. It's absolutely clear that you got players leaving LSU in droves. You got a lot of kids leaving LSU. I don't have a number for you, but I'm hearing that there's a lot of kids entering the transfer portal from LSU, and Ole Miss is re-signing guy after guy after guy. I thought it was confirmed that Trinidad Chambliss's medical red shirt for 2026 was approved. There's a whole story with this. Quarterback for Ole Miss, Trinidad Chambliss, did not play a snap of football in 2022 when he was at Division II Ferris State. And there's a whole saga behind this because what they're claiming contributed to this medical red shirt for Trinidad in 2022 is tonsillitis. And so apparently the NCAA is asking for in-depth records. You know, talk about like Trinidad went to the doctor's office on September 15th and got his tonsils swabbed. Like they want all of this. I thought that Trinidad was confirmed eligible. In fact, I think I saw an Instagram story from Ole Miss head coach Pete Golding about it. But this morning on Feinbaum, they were talking about talking about it as if it's his eligibility still wasn't approved. You got Kejuan Lacey coming back to Ole Miss, re-signing with the Rebels. Suntarine Perkins, the linebacker, the leader on their defense. And you got many, many more. In fact, I haven't heard of a single Ole Miss player who starts that's leaving. The only Ole Miss player I know that's entering the portal at this point is quarterback Austin Simmons. He's headed to Missouri, but he's going to finish the playoff with Ole Miss. But it sounds like running backs coach Kevin Smith will return to Ole Miss for the game tomorrow night against Miami and the national championship if they're fortunate enough to advance and head to Miami on January 19th. It sounds like the staffing thing is really not an issue. At least that's how Pete Golding's playing it. That's how Ole Miss is playing it. The players in interviews seem very relaxed. I listened to an interview with Trinidad. I listened to an interview with Kejuan Lacey, the running back. I listened to an interview with Eccles, the D lineman. I can't remember his first name, but he's a Mississippi kid. And the players sound confident as all get out. Their play backed that up in the Sugar Bowl. They played their ass off. They were confident. They were physical. They bullied the bully in the Sugar Bowl game. That's one of my favorite games I watched in a decade. When I'm cleaning the house, when I'm working, when I'm doing whatever, I throw that game on in the background. That's how much I enjoyed it. And it doesn't seem like the staffing thing is affecting Ole Miss at all. Like I said, the more that occurs, the worse Lane Kiffin looks. You go back to the Sugar Bowl, and you realize that Lane Kiffin wanted to be there. He was asked not to be there, not just by Ole Miss folks, but by ESPN folks. He wanted to go as far as jump on the broadcast because Lane Kiffin knows how bad all of this is making him look. He wanted to do a little PR cleanup and jump on the broadcast of the Sugar Bowl. It was very evident that nobody wanted him there. So he went and tried to have his moment at an LSU women's basketball game when Kim Mulkey was walking him out and like raising his hand. It was kind of strange. I saw the clip on Twitter, and it was very weird. It looked kind of forced. It looked like Lane Kiffin is doing everything he can to try and clean up his image, because it just looks bad. I mean, the whole reason you leave Ole Miss, according to Lane Kiffin, is because you think it's going to be easier to recruit. You think it's going to be a bit easier to win a national championship, and then my ear's itching. And then the very school you were with is in it and has a really viable chance to win it all. They're playing pissed off because I do think on a subconscious level, this Ole Miss team feels slighted by Lane Kiffin. They won't tell you that. And to a degree, I believe them. I think at least as it pertains to the players, they know what's in front of them. They know the job they need to do. And Lane chose to leave. So he's not a part of that story anymore. There's been a debate going around on whether Lane Kiffin would get a ring if Ole Miss won the national championship. And the answer to that is bona fidely no. Okay, I think some people have gotten it mixed up. They've heard about the money that Lane Kiffin is making each game that Ole Miss wins. And I hate to throw my favorite player of all time under the bus, Chad Johnson, but I heard him on Nightcap, I believe, with Shannon Sharp. And Chad thinks that Lane will get a ring from Ole Miss. And I understand where Chad's coming from. But no matter if you're covering the game or not, like, I think it's hard to understand how much this Lane Kiffin saga really meant to people. I don't think people outside of the South really understand the emotions that the community of Oxford felt going through the Lane Kiffin saga. On top of that, you got this lawlessness in college football. You had rumors of Lane Kiffin threatening to pull coaches immediately. And the whole story with Ole Miss, the whole reason that Ole Miss is America's team right now, and I'm biased because I love Ole Miss. Everybody in my family went to Ole Miss. If I was good enough to play there, I would have played at Ole Miss. I didn't go there, so I feel weird supporting them. But it's easy to. It's been so easy to the last couple of years. We lived in Birmingham for a long time, and Oxford was a quick 3-hour drive over, so we'd go over to Oxford on weekends we didn't play. I feel a strong connection to Ole Miss, to Oxford, and I'm sure that sounds really convenient to say right now. But all that being said, bias aside, Ole Miss is certifiably America's team in this playoff, just based on the story, the way they've been able to handle this storm, this adversity, and stay upright. In fact, be downright dominant against the bully of college football in the Sugar Bowl. I think the story is too. I'm trying to come up with the right word. The story's too good. The story's too good, and the way they face adversity is really it's unprecedented. There's never been a situation like this in college football before, and hopefully there never will be one. But it seems like the powers that be, whether they have power or not anymore, are for the most part head and ass. It's. I hope they do it. Now you're going up against an NFL defensive line, guys, in with the Miami Hurricanes. Ruben Bain, the edge for the defensive end for Miami, number 4. This guy's might be the best player in all of college football. And the most fun part of this Fiesta Bowl matchup is going to be watching Ruben Bain chase Trinidad Chambliss around, seeing if Ruben Bain can get home or Trinidad can create more of that magic he created against Georgia. Creating plays, going off script, just gaming and balling. And I do believe Trinidad got a lot of credit after that game. I think all of it is deserved. But I really don't know if the vast majority of people that sat down and watched the game really understood how unconscious Trinidad Chambliss was in the Sugar Bowl. When he had that back shoulder heat check, I think it was the final touchdown of the game. It was literally like one of those balls where Trinidad sees man coverage. I think it was press coverage out wide to the right. And he's just thinking, fuck it. Man-to-man coverage, one-on-one. This is a heat check. Back shoulder on the dot. This kid completed, I think he set a record. I don't know if it's postseason record or just general college football record for consecutive completions at 13. That's how many balls Trinidad Chambliss completed in a row in the second half, I believe, in the Sugar Bowl against Georgia. 13 passes in a row. And they weren't dink and dunk screens. No. You guys saw the highlights. These were shots. These were pushing it downfield type of throws. Literally NFL throws. It's the best performance by far I've seen from a quarterback in college football all year. It's not even close. Might be one of the best performances I've seen from a quarterback in college football in the last 5 years. He absolutely balled. And I'm trying to think if there's anything around. Oh, yeah. I put Wild Card Weekend. Damn. I spent too much. That's the thing. Listen, I'll tell you guys, college football, particularly Ole Miss, and the state of the entire thing, that's really been capturing the majority of my attention as of late. I think the NFL is great. I worked in the NFL. Again, I said this yesterday. It's very challenging for me to get excited about the NFL when you have an atrocity like the Cincinnati Bengals existing in the world, let alone supporting that team. It's kind of like, I haven't really watched baseball. I love professional baseball. I love the MLB, and I love the Cincinnati Reds, and that's really why I haven't followed professional baseball all that closely for all this time, is because the Cincinnati Reds are so bad year in and year out, and my heart can't handle it. And I'm getting to that point with the Cincinnati Bengals to where they're such a terrible organization. As a fan, they are actually tainting my enthusiasm for pro football at this point. Again, this is very cyclical. Pro football is going to continue to come up. I'm not saying that we're swearing off pro football. Hell no. Wild card weekend's coming up. This is, without a doubt, the most fun 4 or 5 days of football that are going to happen all year. You got the Fiesta Bowl tomorrow night. You got the Peach Bowl, Indiana and Oregon, Friday night. You got 2 wild card games on Saturday. I believe it's Carolina will be hosting, surprisingly enough, the LA Rams. And then you got the Bears hosting the Green Bay Packers. I know that you got the Steelers hosting the Houston Texans, the hot Houston Texans, 9 wins in a row, Houston Texans at Acrisure Stadium. I still want to call it Heinz Field in Pittsburgh. That'll round out the weekend on Monday night. I believe you've got the Jaguars hosting the Bills on Sunday. Who else am I missing, guys? You got I'm blanking on the Sunday games. Maybe Eagles are playing for sure. Chargers, Patriots. I would imagine the Patriots have home field there. 49ers at Eagles. And that's really it. It's hard to bet against the Patriots. I think the Chargers, it'll be another one and done in the playoffs for Justin Herbert, Jim Harbaugh, and the Chargers. The Patriots, look, you're seeing it, guys. You're seeing it. This is part of what bothers me so bad about the Cincinnati Bengals preaching about continuity, about patience, and all this crap. You're seeing it in college and the NFL, 1-year turnarounds. And we're gonna, if you're the Bengals, we're gonna rely on patience and continuity as we waste what could be one of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of the game. The Patriots did a 1-year turnaround. The Jaguars did a 1-year turnaround. The Panthers, say what you want about the Panthers, they're in it. And they're in it for the first time since 2015. The Bears, 1-year turnaround. And then really, I'll say this about these NFL playoffs. This is the playoff that I've seen in my life where absolutely nothing would surprise me. There is not a single completely dominant team in this field. And then you go to college football for 1-year turnarounds. Indiana, the U, Ole Miss. Damn, I don't remember where Oregon finished up, and I believe I shouldn't say 1-year turnaround for Indiana because Indiana had a really good team last year as well. But look at the wild card round in the NFL, and teams that were not relevant last year: Chicago Bears, Jacksonville Jaguars, New England Patriots, Carolina Panthers. And the Bengals want to preach continuity when they're wasting years of Joe Burrow's life.
it's just interesting to me. I don't know where I was going with that. My prediction, Miss Lindsay, who I met in New Orleans, is in the chat. She's asking me if I'm going to give my pick for Ole Miss versus Miami. I have not given my prediction for that game. I'm hesitant to make a prediction about that game because it really could go either way. I love the way Miami plays. I love the philosophy. I love the mentality. I love Mario Cristobal. Apparently, he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if Miami won this game, but I also, and again, I'm coming from a place of bias. I'll be wearing an Ole Miss hat at the game tomorrow. All my family are Ole Miss people. A lot of my friends are Ole Miss people. I've spent a lot of time in Oxford. It's a special place. There's nowhere like it. And I think that's part of why this team has been able to rally the way they have, despite all of this unwarranted Lane Kiffin drama. I really think it's the community of Oxford that has lifted up this team and allowed this team to stay focused on what the main thing is, and that's winning football games and riding with the people that ride with you. And a lot of people, when Ole Miss, when Thanksgiving rolled around, this Lane Kiffin thing started going down, a lot of people were writing off Ole Miss. I can't remember what members of the media said this, but I definitely remember hearing this. I remember members of the media talking about why Ole Miss should be bumped out of the playoff because they don't have Kiffin. You guys remember that? I do. That's takes like that are what keep me from being scared to make a bad take, because if professionals at the highest level of covering this sport were making takes like Lane Kiffin and his departure from Ole Miss should be grounds for eliminating Ole Miss from the playoff, look at him now. Look at him now. I know there was a fan on Paul Feinbaum's show who's a Miami fan that was calling for Mario Cristobal's job when they lost on the road to SMU. It's absolutely absurd. Okay, I get it. It's college football's lawless right now. The NFL, there's more firings than ever before. You had Tony Dungy tweeting in support of John Harbaugh in a very disoriented state in the context of John Harbaugh being fired. Tony Dungy couldn't believe that John Harbaugh, after 18 years, 13 playoff appearances, I believe roughly, was fired from Baltimore. And he's going to be the hottest head coaching candidate in the NFL. You had Georgia fans calling in to another show earlier today, wondering if the John Harbaugh firing in Baltimore might affect offensive coordinator Todd Monken, and maybe that situation creating the possibility of Todd Monken returning to Athens, Georgia, to help with the Georgia Bulldog offense. It seems like Georgia fans are not completely behind their offensive coordinator, Bobo. His last name is Bobo. I can't remember his first name. But they're all the way behind Kirby. I don't know how you couldn't be. I still think Kirby, without a doubt, is the best coach in college football. So my prediction for the Ole Miss Miami game, I'm biased and I have to take Ole Miss. I don't know what the spread is. I would imagine Miami is probably favored in Vegas. I believe that Ole Miss has got too much juice behind them. They got too much of the unseen on their side, and Miami's physical and they've got an NFL defensive line, but it's going to be a lot of fun watching Trinidad Chambliss run away from those guys and complete balls downfield just like he did against Georgia. I got Ole Miss. They got too much juice. Miami's got a great team. I love the way they play, but I just think this is Ole Miss's tournament to lose. I really do. I think you saw one of the most physical teams, if not the most physical team in college football in New Orleans in the Sugar Bowl. And so I got Ole Miss. For Indiana, Oregon, I think that's pretty easy. Take Indiana. And we'll continue to cover these games. Obviously, we don't have the Ole Miss game until tomorrow night, so we'll have another show before then. And obviously, we'll cover the wild card round as we go to. I think the only obvious game in the NFL wild card round is LA Rams at Carolina Panthers. Now, the reason I say that is not to downplay the Panthers. The LA Rams just traveled to Charlotte a mere few weeks ago to play the Panthers, and I think coaches feel this way. A lot of players, I know, feel this way too. There's something to be said in terms of an advantage to a team that lost in the regular season to an opponent that they see in the postseason. I just think it would be really hard for Carolina to beat a team as good as the LA Rams 2 times in the same place in a couple weeks, and that's really why the only thing that makes the Rams-Panthers game the only obvious pick of this NFL wildcard round. You've got the Packers and the Bears. The Bears are home underdogs to the Packers, who haven't won a game in a month. So that's kind of baffling to me. I'd stay the hell away from that game. I'm going to refrain from making a prediction on that one for now. And then you roll into the Sunday games. You got Bills-Jags, the first one. Bills at Jacksonville. San Francisco traveling to Philly for the middle slate. And then the Chargers travel to cold New England on Sunday night to round off the weekend, and then you got Texans at Steelers on Monday night to completely round out the weekend. I think the Patriots just got so much juice right now, man. You saw that clip of Stephon Diggs and Mike Vrabel talking shit on the sidelines, and Mike Vrabel just telling Diggs, shut the fuck up. And Diggs is like talking shit back to him, and they're dapping. They're having a good time at work, man. And I think it takes a special kind of leader. Like that's really what coaching is leaning towards these days. You can't really have the autistic analyst type of guy that spent his whole career cutting up play sheets and cards like Mike McDaniel. You gotta, sorry for the stray, Mike McDaniel, but you gotta really be a leader of men in college football and pro football. There, and really the two highest levels of football have become more in the same. Just because of NIL stuff. I mean, college football is basically pro football. I hear a lot of talk of how can we fix college football? How can we fix college football? Well, you're not putting the paying players genie back in the bottle. So let's just embrace it, which I think is the main problem in college football, is that a lot of the old heads up top haven't embraced the new era. And instead of, putting things in place that would help it, they're trying to figure out how they can maybe get the genie back in the bottle, and they just won't be able to. So my solution, and it's very oversimplified for college football, but my solution for college football is just copy the NFL. Put a salary cap in place, treat transfer portal like free agency, and get on down the road. It's such a mess that it's going to take time to fix it. I understand that. But that's the simplified approach. You got to just copy the NFL if you're college football. I think if you follow that North Star, things will get a lot easier in terms of fixing things. Okay. Yeah, we didn't even talk about Ty Simpson, who was in the title. I couldn't believe. I mean, reading what I've read, I can now believe why Ty Simpson entered the draft. It's clear that they did not want him back at Alabama. Alabama's got they've got 2 quarterbacks that'll battle for the starting job in Tuscaloosa next year. Austin Mack, who we saw a bit of in the Rose Bowl, gave the guys a bit of a spark. Came over from Washington with Kalen DeBoer. And then you have Keelan Russell, who was a true freshman this year. One of the highest rated prospects in Alabama history. Think about that. Think about all the 5 stars Alabama's gotten over the years. Keelan Russell, the true freshman quarterback from this year at Alabama, was one of the highest rated prospects in program history. So I would be hard-pressed to tell you that Keelan Russell won't be the starting quarterback for the Tide. I'd imagine whoever loses that quarterback battle will probably
transfer somewhere else. But Ty Simpson, it was clear that he was not wanted back at Alabama. In fact, Alabama fans were singing that same na 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 hey 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 goodbye. About Ty Simpson. I think the reason that Ty Simpson came out for the draft, I think it's delusional as hell. All things aside, but the argument for Ty Simpson and why he should have entered the draft is that it's a very weak quarterback class. You've got Fernando Mendoza, who's going to go number 1 overall to the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't think Fernando Mendoza is going to be a successful pro quarterback. I do think the guy's behaviors, his habits, and who he is, he'll be a great career backup in the NFL, but I don't see Fernando Mendoza being any semblance at this point of a franchise quarterback. And then Dante Moore from Oregon's the number 2 guy in that class. And, I haven't watched him play that much. Oregon doesn't really stand out to me on paper. In fact, I think of the 4 remaining teams in the playoff, Oregon's, to me, the 4th best team among the 4 teams left. And Dante Moore, he seems like a decent facilitator. Again, I haven't watched him play enough to even really give informed input on how I see him. But he's the number 2 quarterback in this 2026 class. And then as of now, you've got Ty Simpson at number 3. And I think Ty Simpson will struggle to even stay in the NFL. I think for Fernando Mendoza, a guy like him, bare minimum, he'll be a good career backup. Ty Simpson, I think, will be out of the NFL in a couple years. In fact, I think he'd be a really good fit with A.J. McCarron as the head coach down there at the Birmingham Stallions. I think Ty Simpson will do just fine for the Birmingham Stallions under A.J. McCarron in the XFL or whatever the hell it's called these days. And I'm not downplaying spring football. Spring football's badass, by the way. That's how you get film on. That's how you get. That's how kickers like Brandon Aubrey, who was considered one of the best kickers in the league for the Dallas Cowboys for a year or two, got into the league. Jake Bates, all these guys. It seems like the XFL to NFL kicker pipeline is real. All right, guys, I got to go to jiu-jitsu. I popped my knee a little bit last night, so I think I'm just going to go light drill tonight. But I do need to be there on time, and I'm already late. So that's the conclusion of our show. This is our daily football show. It's called In the Jar. It's a phrase that my college head coach at Samford University used to use. It's a show where we debate, discuss, rant about current happenings in football, particularly college football, the SEC, and pro football as well. If you guys are new here, appreciate you popping in. We do live daily football shows Monday through Friday around 6 Eastern. And we hope you enjoyed the program. We hope that you hit that subscribe button right there, I think. Somewhere around there. It's very easy to do. It's free. We won't send you any emails, and I won't jump through the screen and bite you unless you don't subscribe. Then I might. You got us on all audio platforms, updated daily, any audio platform you can think of. Daily clips on Instagram, In the Jar Clips, TikTok, Clark Dupree, YouTube, Clark Dupree. You can watch us on Kick if you want. And you can also watch replays on YouTube. They are vertical. We do that for a reason. We try to reach a new audience every day by going live. And the best way to do that is in the shorts feed. So until this show is good and plump, good and blown up, the replays on YouTube are going to be vertical. So hit that subscribe button for me there. Really hope you enjoyed it. And we will see you guys tomorrow.